Hello and welcome to World Sports Weekly. I'm your host, Natalie Rydstrom. Now, a key and difficult event of the Formula One season is upon us as the 2014 Monaco Grand Prix begins Thursday, the 22nd of May. The challenge drivers facing this event differ from any event in the F1 calendar. Here with me today to explain why is SBR sports writer and regular contributor Richard O'Hagan. Richard, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome, Natalie. It's good to be here.
Now, firstly, before we touch on the betting value in the Monaco Grand Prix, take us through why this event stands out from any other on the F1 calendar in terms of difficulty for drivers.
Well, the main thing is that it's a street circuit, which actually isn't unusual in Formula One nowadays, but it's a proper street circuit. These are roads that people drive on every other day of the year. In fact, at one point during practice, they actually reopened the roads to general traffic. So it's bumpy, it's narrow, it's twisting. It's just really hard on the drivers and the cars. And then also they can't get up to really, really high speeds like you see on a lot of other circuits. So it's a real challenge. It's tough to overtake and it's very, very mentally draining for them. So it's unique. There's no other way to describe it.
And which drivers will excel in these kind of conditions?
Well, I think the two you really got to look at are very definitely Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg, not just because they've been the two dominant drivers this year, not just because they got the best car this year, but also they went well there last year when they didn't have such a good car. And that's a really good indicator because it shows you've got two guys who know how to drive this circuit, who can physically cope with the demands of very short, sharp bits of acceleration, the really, really tight curves. This course has got some of the sharpest and slowest curves on the Grand Prix circuit. And the combination of the two together, I think you've really got to look at very, very closely.
Well, current championship leader Lewis Hamilton is available at a price of 1.73 at William Hill. How would you rate this bet?
I think that you could argue that it's a little bit on the short side given the nature of Formula One racing. But on the other hand, Hamilton's been far and away ahead of everybody this year. He's hit a really good vein of form. He's got a really good car that's streets ahead of everybody else's. And I really think that you've got to back him, even if the odds aren't terribly favourable, because he is, barring some remarkable event here, going to win this race.
Yeah. Well, would you be interested in taking a look at Hamilton's teammate and last year's Monaco Grand Prix champ Nico Rosberg's odds of 3.25? Does that offer maybe a little bit more value? And is that worth a bet?
It offers a little bit more value. But the downside to it is that although they don't officially have a 1 and 2 driver in that team, Hamilton appears to have slightly better car. And so even when Rosberg has gone well in practice, Hamilton's outperformed him when it matters, either in final qualifying or on race day. And I think that Hamilton is going to have the slight edge no matter what here. So Rosberg is a good bet. He's certainly a very good bet for a podium place, but I would not necessarily be backing him to win.
Okay, well, what other betting markets then stand out to you to maximise profits?
The one that I like and one particularly relevant in Monaco is going to be the first driver to retire, because one, it's obviously a course where you do get accidents and you do get people making mistakes. The margins for error are quite small. Two, it's a market which gives you all the drivers to play from, whereas when you're looking at picking just the winner of the race, you're really only talking about 5 or 6 guys who are ever likely to win a Formula One Grand Prix nowadays. So you've got 22 drivers to pick from. You've got some great odds in there. Don't go for the obvious, the slow cars like the Marussias and the Caterhams, because they're almost designed to be driven safely around a racetrack. We've noticed over the last couple of years, they very rarely retire. Look instead for guys we like to refer to as human pinballs, the likes of Grosjean, who actually qualified really well last year and then blew up in the race, or someone like Adrian Sutil in the Sauber, who just likes to floor it, go flying around the track, and occasionally gets it horribly, horribly wrong. You'll get them at sort of between 15 and 17s, which is really good value bet for making some money on this particular race.
Okay, Richard, that wraps things up for our Monaco Grand Prix preview. Thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome, Natalie.